Hi there. This is CJ Miller, and I am in my kitchen in Shreveport, Louisiana. And for the record, I am barefoot. Okay, this is a boneless leg of lamb. Now, I do mine to done, uh, and I put it in the oven, say at 350. Uh, Sometimes you could do it at 325. I did mine at 350. Let it go for about an hour and 20 minutes, and then I turned the heat off and let it sit into the oven for another 20 or so minutes, and then I removed it and let it rest. And I like a good doneness on lamb. Beef, I love to go a little medium, but lamb. Okay, so uh, it's just the simplest recipe. Your favorite pesto sauce will have everything. You can look at all the recipes for basil and garlic roast and everything like that. But your basic recipe for all the herbs in a stuffed leg of lamb is inside of a pesto. I opened it wide with the knife throughout, stuffed the pesto, and then I rubbed pesto all over the top of it. It looks really, really great. I've got it with some uh, some elbow macaroni tossed in pesto also, and I'm going to show you that in just a second. Ah, you know, whenever I hear people talk about lamb, they always talk about mint. Put mint with lamb. I don't know that I have ever used a mint with lamb. I usually use something such as a rosemary or basil or something, and I was looking at a good roast lamb recipe, uh, which is a garlic and basil and just everything. And I got to looking at that recipe, and I'm like, wait a second, I've got this wonderful pesto that I use, and that I just happen to have on hand. And so it's like, wow. And this pesto, it's basically uh, basil with a really, really good uh, instead of a canola oil base, and it's basil, and it's got Parmesan cheese and Romano cheese, and it has garlic. So those are the primary ingredients for this pesto. You probably could do it yourself. Oh, and it's got some um, sunflower seed. So it's got basil, sunflower seed, uh, oil. So it's in a sunflower seed oil. That's what it is. So basil, sunflower seed, um, Parmesan cheese, Romano cheese, and garlic. And those are the main ingredients in this pesto. And that was what they were pretty much suggesting. And yeah, I was like, I got to, it was close enough that I'm like, let me just do a pesto. So let me just stuff it with a pesto. So it's a very flavorful, moist meat. It's flavorful being the emphasis. You need to be able to really love. It's like if you like deer, you will enjoy lamb. If you do not like deer, because you think deer has a strong flavor, then maybe you won't like lamb if you just you know don't. But really, it's really delicious. I will say if it's done well. Uh, I've actually can do it to medium, but typically I like my lamb to get a little bit closer to done, and because it gets tender, it's very it's a very delicious meat. Um, I love it. Okay, so and then you could do it as it is, like this on this night, and then the next day or so, if you have leftovers, something like that. If you want to do, like, say, a barbecue, you can make kind of a barbecue mutton sandwich or something like that. You could do thin slice. You just have it just like this, sliced over cheese and some bread or something like that. Or if you want to do a really traditional shepherd's pie, then you take your lamb that's been cooked like this, and go ahead and mince it up and put it in the bottom of your pan, and then your other workings for your shepherd's pie, which is shepherd because it's made with uh, lamb, or sheep, but yeah, I like lamb. Yeah, just so uh, mutton is like an older lamb, But anyway, this is very good. This was I bought it. It was off the bone. Most that you would find or you'll buy are going to be like off the shank or off the American leg, they'll call it. But if you want to go to a specialty butcher, then you can ask for a lamb on the shank, and it's called an American leg cut. So that's good. Let me give a little bit of a tasting here. Now, listen, I had this the other day. This is like, you know, um, actually the same noodle, the same batch of noodles that I made, uh, which was a Barilla noodle, and then I tossed some pesto in, and then, but I reserved some of the noodles that I had made. And left unsauced and put them, sealed them and saved them. And so this is like actually leftover noodles. So it's great, but it's still good. Mm. The natural richness of this is like the best, like macaroni noodle, on its own without sauce that I've ever tasted. And it's just great putting the pesto with it. So it was just how fortuitous that I had opened the pesto, and then I thought, let me check out a roast lamb, and then I came across something that would work really, really well instead of the individual ingredients using a pesto. But let me try this lamb. Let me cut it first. So lamb is a very versatile meat. It's very versatile, very flavorful, and works well. If you get a hold of something like this, if you find that it is too much flavor for you, you could cut it down, blend it, throw it with some chuck steak, which also has a strong flavor for beef, on the beef end of it. Mm. Oh my God, let me tell you. This is so delicious, though. But you could use that in any stocks or anything like that, any kind of meat pies. There's even a place I knew when I lived in New Orleans, and forget my little drink cup over there. I forgot to set it up here. Okay, so there was a place. It was an Italian restaurant in New Orleans, and they did a layered meat dish where they did like bits of lamb, bits of beef, and bits of pork. Uh, with different flavorings, and they made sort of a layer upon layer upon layer, and it was like, wow. And then there was like maybe some breadcrumb or something. It was almost like I wish I knew that I wish I had the insight at the time that I would want to recreate that dish, to ask what they did for it, but it was great. Uh, and it was a lot of just roasted meats, but they were layered upon each other, and so you can blend your meats like that. If you get a hold of a meat and say maybe the flavor is too strong for you, then you can combine it with something else that's a little less. But I think what they did was they did like a layer of lamb, and then a little bit of beef, and then a little bit of uh, some pork, and they layered that up. If you go to this is a good way, this kind of meat right here, if you did it, if you love a good Greek uh, gyro sandwich, got some pita bread and some cheese and or whatever it is, some feta maybe, and then like some mixed greens or something like that, or maybe some baby spinach and stuff it inside of pita bread. Yeah, you get a hold of someone and they say they don't like lamb, and it's like, well, do you like uh, gyros? And they say yes. Well, you're eating lamb. It's wonderful. So, but sometimes they'll blend beef with lamb, say on a um, gyro platter or something like that, which is kind of like almost like what I think of as almost in my mind a Greek fajita. You know how like you bring out fajita with Mexican food? Well, so a gyro platter, you bring out everything and you assemble your gyros right there at the table. But yeah, so this is a good Greek style dinner. Greek, uh, it with a little bit of a with an Italian infusion, and isn't that what happens anyway? All throughout culture, you know, uh, uh, Rome and Greece were so near each other that they have frequently influenced each other throughout culture, especially in religions, and the ancient gods, just renames, and their ancient cultures, they mimic each other so much because they were so near each other. You know, one primarily uh, Italian and one primarily Greek, and from different regions or whatever. But so funny. Um, yeah. I love. I'm gonna stop this video. I'm only talking for like 10, 11 minutes tops here. I'm gonna round it up because I'm gonna get to this meal because I love it. I want to say that I love you all, and this is the simplest recipe. And you could use this with, and if you didn't want to use lamb, you could use it for anything. Pesto, rub that into whatever your meat is, and then roll it up, tie it up or whatever, but it's kind of like an all-in-one thing. It's kind of like if you had like a red sauce out of a jar or something. You can make this at home, uh, like I said, with those ingredients. Sesame seed with a little bit of sesame seed oil uh, uh, for emulsifying, and then use some pesto, uh, Romano cheese, Parmesan cheese, and garlic. Blend it all up. Salt and pepper to taste, and there you'd have a great pesto. Um, okay, love you guys. Have a good night. Uh, as always, come see us in Shreveport, Louisiana. Look me up. I'll take you around. Love and light. Goodbye.